Today we're talking Marathon. The latest preview surprised us. Could Bungie's new shooter actually have a future? Plus, we've gone hands-on with Resident Evil 9. Does it live up to the hype or is it leaving us wanting more? And Xbox just announced its next-gen console, Project Helix. So what exactly is it? Stick around for all that and more. Welcome, friends, to Good Playing with You, your weekly gaming news roundup. I'm Dan Whitehill, and as always, I'm joined by my button-mashing buddy, Matt Lord.
Hey, how's it going?
We've got a packed show today, but one quick note before we dive in, we're only 105 subscribers away from our goal, so if you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps us out. All right, with that out of the way, let's jump into the headlines of the week. First up, let's talk about some new video game releases. March is kind of a packed month, but the first one up is Marathon, which officially launched yesterday. And Lord, I know you've been playing it since the beta. What do you think?
Yeah, boys, it's so funny because this has been such a polarizing game. Like it's just, we had the server slam last weekend, and I couldn't help myself. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this game a go. I know I've been dogging it. I've been dogging this game since day one. So like me going in and like giving it a fair shake was like so low on my totem pole. I was like, I'm gonna tear this game apart, like no question. And then see, okay, and this is I told two buddies, I was like, I'm gonna jump into Marathon. You guys want to download the game? They also downloaded it, so we had a 3 stack. So we had 3 people dropping and looting, and sure enough, I initially we played our first night. We're like, oh, that was kind of confusing. We didn't fully know what was going on. A lot of people were saying, oh, the UI. And I was like, yeah, I guess like, you know, I could see where the issues lie. Like some of the icons are kind of confusing. There's no like compare items. But once you get into it, and this is the big tip for everyone who's playing and is new, definitely track items. That is the big one. So like the game has this whole huge skill tree, and you find items in the world, and there's like all sorts of items that you can scavenge out there, but you need specific ones to do upgrades to your character. And what you can do is you can track those items. So when you go into the world, it's highlighted what you need, and that's what you need to be focusing on. And you can do that for everything. And that like, I feel like that eliminates like all of the looting confusion. But oh my gosh, okay, I know I just went off a little bit of a tangent.
Pro tip?
Yeah, that's a super pro tip. Telling you, tracking items, huge difference maker. And it's just like, honestly, when I went in, I thought in my head, I didn't realize they had changed the graphics.
We covered it on the pod.
Well, I know, but like I didn't realize how good the graphics became. Like they're so good.
I agree. I said that back in December, well, I think it was.
I know, but like I don't think it did not dawn on me. Like the graphics, like this game, Dan, looks so expensive. Like they dropped dough on this.
I'm sure it was expensive.
For sure. And it's great to see, like, that's the thing, we're going to talk about Highguard later, but you look at that game and you look at Marathon, you're like, there's not even a slight comparison as far as like quality, like video game making here. Like clearly Bungie put love and effort into this thing. That's why I'm like, so at this point, I'm so rooting for it. You know, I like that passion and I can see it in this game. And then I did want to touch on the lore. The lore in this game is insane. So deep. You can go and watch like a bunch of wild YouTube videos that are super entertaining about the AI and how the Marathon ship got to Tau Ceti and like all this different stuff. And it's super engrossing. Like I didn't expect it because the last looter shooter I played, Tarkov, I like the story is like so surface level. You're like, I don't even know what's going on here. So when you go in, you're like, I'm engrossed in this thing. It's incredible. And then like some of the other things that just do you have any questions though first, Dan?
Yeah, I was about to say, clearly you're very impressed. It's really interesting and entertaining to hear you singing a different tune than we've been talking for the past few months. Mister, this thing's going to bomb. And now all of a sudden you're ready to put a ring on it.
Like Honestly, I'm not even kidding you. I am so surprised by my reaction to this game. Like, I'm surprised myself. I was like, okay, this is going to be friggin' Concord, Highguard, like this thing's done. And now I'm like, man, I'm so rooting for this game. Like the setting, like Dan, the colors in this thing are incredible.
Okay.
Incredible colors.
Let
Yes.
me start asking you some questions here.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of people who are not familiar with this game, this
Yeah.
is a 3-person squad extraction shooter, correct?
Mhm.
And that's the basis
Correct.
of it. Like, is it
Yeah.
like? Could you compare it to any other games that are out
I
there?
would compare it to like an Apex Legends type
Okay.
movement. The movement set is very Apex Legends. Some of the alts that you do in it are Apex. I get some Apex kind of vibes.
Well, we got to talk about the alts because I've been talking
Yeah.
to friend of the pod Malding, and
Oh yeah.
he had strong feelings about
Oh, I know. I
all of
saw.
it. I was trying to tell him he should come argue with you,
I would love.
but he was busy. And so he just gave me the lowdown. But so
Yeah.
I want to know about the moment to moment gameplay. How many teams are you going up to? How often are the firefights? Are there anything else you're going to
Hmm.
points and grabbing resources and stuff like that? What else is in this game?
Yeah. So you drop. To be honest, I don't fully know. They didn't make it super abundantly clear as far as I read, and I read a lot. I don't know how many teams are probably in there, but I will say you run into at least one team at some point, especially if what you're doing, because like a tip, another tip, if you want to avoid people and you're like trying to do a contract, because you get contracts from these AI entities. They're like, go into South Relay and scan these plants and then extract. You're like, okay, I can do that. And other people, they're doing the same contract. So they're going to the same point and you're going to run into them and they want your loot and I want their loot and you're going to fight. So one thing that you is really beneficial to do is like burn some time off the clock. You got 30 minutes to roam around the map before you are forced to extract. So if you need to like take some time, you can, because a lot of people just you spawn in and then run directly to their objective and you're going to fight like you could fight like 2 teams or 3 teams at once and it
Mm.
gets super hairy. And I know they were talking a little bit about how there wasn't a lot of PvP in this game, but I'm like, dude, we fought people like a lot. We were the type that just spawned in, sprinted to the
The
objective
sweats.
point.
You're the
Oh, we were the
sweats.
sweats. Dude, 100%. And we kind of had one of our friends, Nil, friend of the pod, also really good close friends with Hella Dope Guy, friend of the pod. He's like the PvPvE expert. Like he knows,
Nice.
he plays Warframe, plays all those games. So like we got the pro on our team. So impressed. I'm just like so impressed. I don't know. It just, and it's high octane. Like when you get into these fights, you're just like, oh my gosh. And then like if you come out on top and you wipe everyone and you're just looting to your heart's content, and then you extract, you're just like, it's just like a huge rush.
No, that's
Yeah.
awesome. What happens if you get killed though and your team wipes? Do you get anything or no?
No. Well, the cool part about this game is some of the contracts, the pieces of the contracts do carry over. So even if you don't extract, you complete the contract. So like let's say you
Got it.
blew up an antenna or something, that little mission will still register. But like yeah, kiss your loot goodbye, like your guns, all the things. What's really cool also is you can get free kits that you can go into that are free, that are handed to you. So you get like a gun, some ammo, like some shield kits and some health, and you go in and you find the rest on the map. And I mean, it's definitely challenging. And then there's also one other interesting shell, that's their name, it's called the Rook, and you're kind of like the scavenger. It drops you in after all the players have like fought, and you can like loot, and it's only solo, you can only do it yourself, and then you try to extract, but you're with other rooks on the map. It's really cool
That
and
is kind of
intense.
fun. I like that. That sounds
It's really
crazy.
good idea. And so you can get like loot really easily. Well, not really easily, because you can still totally die from a team hanging out or another
Yeah.
rook. And but it's a good way to loot up for your next run with the boys.
For sure. Okay, we do need to keep moving on. But one thing I really wanted to ask you about, one of the more
Yeah.
controversial aspects that people are talking
Yeah.
about this week, though, is the seasonality and the complete progress wipes for every season. Apparently, a season's going to last 3 months, and at the end of 3 months, they are taking away everything. They said that they wanted to do this to encourage you to use all the items that you've looted and all of the stuff. So I can kind of understand the mythology behind it, but are you telling me that there's no sort of like unlocks? There's no progress carryover at all? Like what's happening here?
I had to dig into this one and make sure it was different than what Tarkov does it, because Tarkov is the same thing. They wipe the whole thing on these wipes and you don't keep anything. You don't keep
Oof.
contracts, you don't keep besides what they mentioned about just like using your items and like having, no gear fear or whatever. I think it's just a good way to allow like new players to jump in the game. Like if you have a player who has played the game from the beginning, loots for, let's say they just keep looting every season, they have like all the best gear. It's impossible for a new player to come in and like be expected to go up against those kinds of sweats. Like
Yeah.
that's not possible. So you have to have some sort of wipe in the game to like clear the board, and also it lays the groundwork for like certain events that they do, so they can like implement that, and it's not like someone's OP to do it. A lot of
But
different
there's
things, but I think that's a big
there's
one.
there's no like ticks or markers, frames around your icon, anything that carries over that you can
There
earn that says I am an OG. I'm big
there
on those
might be
stupid little
actually.
things.
They might have like a little bit of markings. I think some skins and stuff. So there might be like a rank progression skin that you wind up getting perhaps. And I think you do keep those. So, I mean, there's some stuff, but any loot, forget about it.
What about season passes when you mention skins? Is there something
Uh,
like that, or how
there
do
is a
those
season
work?
pass. Yeah.
Okay.
And I haven't investigated that. I'm still I know I'm gonna play and like I'm gonna get all the lowdown and then I'll report back. My biggest fear, I just don't want there to be like any sort of switcheroos. Like the server slam was so good and so cool that like I'm hoping I want them to stick the landing with the game, obviously. And I'm gonna get in, really get my hands dirty, and I'll report everything back.
Sounds good. All right, now let's talk about some
Oh yeah.
Resident Evil because we had another big game coming out last weekend and I got my hands on that one and I want to tell you about it because I know you're
I can't wait.
curious. And yeah, so let's just jump into it. Essentially,
Yeah.
I was surprised. This one was better than I was expecting. And I'm already a Resident Evil fan, but I was a little on the fence with this one just because I didn't love the look of it, the graphics. I wasn't sure about the split in between Leon and Grace. But now that I got my hands on it, I'm happy to report it is gorgeous. And yes, the RE engine can look dated sometimes, but it in here, once you're in there in the world, it looks super beautiful. And so that was a huge relief it felt like a next gen game. It didn't feel like
Nice.
this is the gen from last gen that they're working on. So that was a huge sigh of relief right in the beginning. So first off, like let's talk about the different characters, Grace and Leon, and then I want to answer any questions you have. So first off, Grace, she's your
Hmm.
classic Resident Evil protagonist in the sense that it's like horror based and you can't do very much with her, especially in the beginning. She goes to this hotel and is tied into her family and you get this whole backstory. So it's very intriguing because she does have a crazy story with there's mom being murdered and all this sort of stuff. And you start to play her, and the first thing you're going to notice is the zombies are next gen. They have done some motion capture here. They've done some creativity here that I thought was really phenomenal. They had like a Sonic Hunter enemy, but he's in the hospital and he swings like his medicine bag or whatever. They have stalkers, but you have to like turn on the lights and they can't go in the light. Then they've got these like eerie singing women. So I mean stuff you've probably seen before. But anyway, in Resident Evil, it was like these were new types that we had never really seen before, and it was really cool. Then you also with Grace, she does get a gun. She can't do much. She has a knife. But ultimately, what I loved most was you start to craft these things that she finds in the world, and you can craft the ability to stab people in the back like an injector and do stealth takedowns. And I love stealth takedowns in these types of games.
Oh
So you
yeah,
could either
baby.
yeah, so you could either craft bullets or you could craft the stealth takedown. And I was using the stealth takedown on everybody. It was really really fun.
But that's
But then
scarier, man. You're like up close and personal doing those types of kills. Like
You
that's
totally
ballsy.
are. Yeah, and that's when you have to know what type you're going up against. Are you going against the type that can hear, the type that can stun you and sing in your face? Are you, like that's where you have to be careful. Yeah. Then they have these huge dudes that take up the whole screen that come after you and hide in the ceiling. Oh man, it's so good. So definitely enjoying the enemy design and the whole stealth aspect because that's never really been there before. So that felt very fresh. Then let's talk about Leon. Leon is full action mode. He's crazy. They start you out with him in the streets with the people running around and cars on fire, and it feels like chaos from the second you start him. He has kicks and throws and he has this amazing gun, the Requiem gun, that is so strong. It's like this magnum that can shoot through. You get an achievement if you can shoot through 3 zombies. So
Nice.
yeah,
That's awesome.
I've never seen like Resident Evil lean into action so hard. They have him like throwing axes at people and shoving people into walls and crushing their skulls. Like it was like, whoa, this is like full on. They went action, like they went hard. So I was like, okay, that feels very unique. I gotta
Huh.
say, like, yeah, in the one of the beginning sequences that they put you in, no spoilers, this is really early on, is that you're Leon and they put you in this hospital room that's pretty big and it's closed off and you can't get out. And there are maybe like 15 zombies in there, but they have this chainsaw on the floor and it's running the whole time, and you can either get the chainsaw or the enemies will get the chainsaw and try and use it on you. So you have to like parry and dodge and get around it and stuff like that. And then you try and kill them and you try and get the chainsaw and then you can stab the zombies with it. And I got one zombie and like I stabbed him and it went through his chest and I started fighting another zombie. Well, I wasn't paying attention, but that zombie came back and he hugged me and the chainsaw went through my chest too. And it was like, it was
Whoa.
just, yeah, I mean, it was crazy.
That's
And
kind of an
eventually,
interesting kill.
yeah, totally. And it was like the conceit is essentially you had to kill all the zombies, and there's a running chainsaw the whole time, and either you're using it on them or they're using it on you until everybody's dead. And then the chainsaw, of course, runs out of gas or whatever. But it was
Of
just
course.
like, yeah, it was like chaos that they've never had in a Resident Evil game. And that signaled right from the beginning, okay, this one is very different. So that was wild. That was really like just, but it also underscored a huge pacing shift. Like Leon's are kinetic and fun and crazy and over the top, but they do get stupid action after a while. And then you switch to Grace, and she is so slow, but she's traditional Resident Evil with tons of backtracking and puzzles and that sort of stuff. So it is tonally, it is like it's really jarring between the two, but it almost is like a peanut butter and jelly in a way that I can see. Like Leon's a nice break from the stress that is Grace, and then Grace is a nice break from all of the crazy that Leon is. So it's a very interesting mix.
Yeah. But you kind
And
of answered my question. I mean, it sounds like I mean, just the way you described it before you even said that last part about the peanut butter and jelly, which I love that analogy. I can already feel like there would be like a pacing situation. And like to be honest, is it too much action on the Leon front? Because like I was saying, like I said the other day, I've been playing Resident Evil 4 remake again, and that game is super. Even though you're kind of a badass and Leon, but that is there's still like it's scary. Like I'm still
yeah,
scared. That to me sounds more like just action. What do you
I
think? Am
gotta
I being stupid?
No, you are so spot on, Lord. Like honestly, I think you nailed it on the head. What I think this is
Hmm.
an interesting experiment, and it's a very fun game that should be played. It's one of the good ones for sure. But I don't know if I want this again. I want to go back to Resident Evil 4 where it's a good balance between the action and the horror. The great thing that is so awesome about Resident Evil 4 is that it keeps moving. That game is just doesn't stop. You're constantly going from set piece to set piece, and there's not a lot of this stop and fight. And there's some circling back and all that sort of stuff in that game. But in this one, it's a little bit too chaotic between the two. And while it's nice as an experiment, and I'm enjoying the shit out of it. And to be completely candid with you, I'm only about a little over 6 hours into it, so I'm in the very early stages. I've heard there's a great spider fight and all this sorts of stuff, and I'm not a pussy. I love spiders, so I'm really looking forward to that one. So I know there's lots of gross stuff to encounter, but I think for me, then yes, like maybe Resident Evil 4 is a great one, but I also really liked 7. My mind goes to 7. It was like 7 was, it was so grounded in those marshes and swamps, and it was such a different experience. This one, you feel like you're in a Resident Evil game, whereas 7, I was like, this is a Resident Evil game? I can't even believe it. Until we got to the boat and they screwed over everything at the end of 7. But yes, so I feel like this is an interesting experiment, but I can't, and I'm enjoying the shit out of it, but I cannot say that I want this as how like all of them to be this way.
And my next question is, like I mentioned on the show, I could not find a physical copy. I'm trying to find it still trying. I haven't tracked it down, but after your time with the game, do you think it's still worth sticking it out and buying a physical copy if I can get my hands on it? What do you think?
Good question. I think a lot of people think it is because Capcom just said yesterday that they sold over 5 million copies in 5 days, and over 344,000 people concurrently were playing it on Steam. So this thing's opening up huge. It is one of their most profitable ones, and so kudos to them. They definitely deserve it. And now maybe we can stop seeing all of the stuff they were doing in the press conferences and stuff like that. And they will leave us alone. I'm just happy it's released so they will leave us alone.
Please, I can't see that game one more time. Like I'm just
agreed.
It was everywhere. It was making me paranoid that the game was going to be bad. And
me too.
Sure enough, it's good.
Me too. Okay, so then to answer your question, I got to be honest with you. I'm enjoying the shit out of it. It's not my favorite Resident Evil yet. I mean, it's a little early to say, but Capcom has a history of dropping the price pretty quickly. And we do have, as I alluded to earlier, a pretty packed March. In fact, just 2 weeks from now, we've got Crimson Desert, which I can't wait to get my hands on. Of course, I'm going to wait for reviews and that sort of stuff. But so there's a lot to play out there right now, like even Marathon, you know what I mean? And so it's like, but this one, it feels next gen. It's gorgeous. They put in the work. They deserve the money, to be frank with you, because like the way that they did the motion caps, it feels high quality and it shows. And so if you were to buy it, like you would have a great time. You would feel like it was worth it. And if you can wait, 6 months or more and get it for $30-$40, then hey, you got a great solid game on your hands. I don't know that this will be anyone's favorite, but it is a hell of a game already so far, and I know it's only going to get better.
Nice. And do you suspect there to be some pretty awesome post-game type of goodies to look forward to?
Yes, good question. So this one, they went back to what they've done in some of the previous games, most notably like actually Resident Evil 5, funny enough. They have CP, that they've done in a couple of them, but so you get your like points by doing certain things, killing certain enemies, like getting killing 3 people with the Requiem and all that sort of stuff. And so you're unlocking these points, and then you will use your points at the end of the game to unlock all these skills. Now, a lot of these have question marks on them for me, so I can't see, but I am already unlocking the credits I can see as I'm playing the game. So I know that I'm going to have a lot. And that's my real question, though, Lord, is like, if Leon's already chaotic, once I unlock everything, like, what's the game going to be like? Then the whole time it's going to be crazy, So
yeah,
it kind of takes that away that I feel like I earned that by unlocking all this stuff. And now I'm curious to see what the end game is definitely like. But I know I'm making credits.
No, I mean, you definitely you've made that clear in the past games, especially what was it, 7 or no, Resident Evil 9, where it was like you can basically speed run it second time around, where you get insane, like infinite ammo, crazy machine guns, bazookas, everything that you might want to run that type of game.
Yep,
It sounds like Leon's already OP.
He is already OP, but so
Yeah.
far it's fun. And you know what? I think that you're so like stressed from Grace that like punching dudes in the face and crushing their skulls is pretty cathartic.
Yeah. Agreed.
The one last good like note I want to throw out there that's been
Yeah.
nice. Bravo Capcom. Every single one of the marketing materials so far has been literally the first 4 hours of the game. And so you like what you're seeing is exactly the game, which is fine. We've all seen it 100 times, especially if you're watching this podcast. But now I'm starting to see different stuff, and they've hidden so much of this game, and that I really appreciate.
Wait, can you just real fast? I know we're talking a lot about it, but I have seen little moments of Leon riding a motorcycle in what looks like a wasteland. Have you experienced that?
No, thanks for the spoiler.
Oh, okay. No way.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Oh yeah, I'm in this like this hospital with Grace right now, or this hotel with Grace.
Oh, I'm
It's
sorry.
really long.
Oh, I figured honestly, the way they kind of preface, I mean, it just looked like Leon was riding a motorcycle, and I honestly figured that was sort of what the game was really going to be about, was you like riding around open world style.
It could be I'm only like 6 hours in, and
Yeah.
honestly, like I'm savoring it. Like
Yeah.
you've got a new Resident Evil. You have to take your sweet time. You have
Yeah.
to look at everything. You have to like find all the coins, find everything, and
Oh man, I'm sorry for
I'm making
spoiling that for you,
no
brother.
no worries,
I
no
mean,
worries. I
you
know
kind
I'm
of
gonna.
had to have known it was coming though, right?
No, I
Oh.
didn't. And I know that I'm gonna get there this weekend because this is my whole weekend's gonna be dedicated to this game, and I'm gonna
Of
get there,
course.
and I'm gonna text you. I'm like, all
You
right, I made
better.
it, you butthole.
Yeah, I mean, I literally thought maybe that was what what you were saying. It sounded like you were kind of alluding to like this open world style like going on. I just figured, I was like, okay, that must have been like, something, the motorcycle, yada yada. But whoops, forgot
I'll
I
keep
ever
you.
said anything.
I'll keep you posted. All
Okay.
right, let's move on though, because I really want to talk about this next story and pick your brain. Essentially, Xbox confirms Project Helix, the next generation. New Microsoft Gaming CEO Asha Sharma took to X earlier yesterday and officially confirmed the code name for Xbox next gen console, Project Helix. Here's exactly what she said. Quote, great to start the morning with Team Xbox, where we talked about our commitment to the return of Xbox, including Project Helix, the code name for our next generation console. Project Helix will lead in performance and play your Xbox and PC games. Looking forward to chatting about this more with partners and studios at my first GDC next week. End quote. So there are a few really
GDC?
yeah.
She's gonna go to GDC and chat it up?
Well, yeah, she's probably never been there because she's been in AI, and this is all about games development.
Oh wait, I'm thinking, I'm such an idiot. I'm thinking games done quick. Okay,
Well,
GDQ.
but that's makes sense because you're low key obsessed with it, and I know at
I
work you
am.
used to keep it in the
I
window,
know.
like of your computer all the time, watching it. You're like, Dan, are you
I kn
watching? This game's done quick. They're about
I
to do a
know.
speed run on
Okay,
Mario.
I need to learn my letters again, obviously, but, forget no, I was like, "Why the hell is she gonna go to Games Done Quick and, like, talk about this?" Okay, GDC.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Continue
but
on.
but it makes sense because I was thinking about the GDC part is she's got to convince people that this console is going to move because Xbox has done some serious damage to partner relationships and they haven't been selling many consoles at all. So she needs to go out there, shake a lot of hands, kiss a lot of ass. So I was thinking like, oh, good, I'm glad she's going there. And the second thing is, and I hate to say this, but PC games don't all support controllers. As a console player, it is such a pisser to find games that I'm in love with and I can't play, and I'm like, what do you mean this is not optimized for a controller? Like this, there's a Steam Deck. My expectations are that now everything would be,
Mhm.
and that is a harsh reality that we need to fix here, people. But we'll get to that when I think the Xbox launches and the Steam machine launches. Then let's rally that flag and let's be really rude about it because these people, I'm telling you, I'm playing games that don't support controller, and I am not okay with that. Okay, so wait, to rant aside, let's go back to this. So first is the return of Xbox. And that's an exciting statement in itself because she is confirming that there will be another console. And I know just last week we were theorizing, like, is the next gen quote unquote console for Xbox only going to be the cloud? No, she is confirming hardware here. So that is good news. We knew that Sarah Bond was working on this, but we didn't know if it got 86 when she did. And apparently this thing is going to be real. And I'm, heartened to hear that. And the second, and maybe the biggest part of this, is that Project Helix will play both Xbox and PC games. Like, yes, we've been talking about that for a long time, and they've mentioned it and stuff, but this is actual confirmation that this is what this machine's going to do. And if it does that, I mean, as well as if it plays Xbox and PC games, it could be real competition for them. And I think price will be a big deciding factor, but that'll be interesting to see. And then as for timing, it goes back to the AMD story that says the next Xbox Silicon chip could be ready around 2027. So maybe we're launching in fall 2027 with this new machine. And then that would leave price as the big wild card, such as it is that the Steam machine. So anyway, this is just exciting, I think, for Xbox gamers because it was such a big turnover. Who knew where the company was headed? At least it sounds like they're still committing to the Xbox console hardware. What are your thoughts on it?
All right. My thoughts, like, they bring in the new head of Xbox and they're like, "Oh God, we've lost faith in our fans. We deploy Project Helix. We've had this one on the back burner, boys. Tell her to tweet it out. Tweet it out on Thursday." And she tweets out this Project Helix. Honestly, I'm sorry, but I'm like skeptical that this is a real thing. Like, is this a real thing? I'm convinced. Like, I still am with you, Dan. I think they had said this is gonna happen, and I don't think we're gonna get this hardware. I think that's my crazy theory. I don't think we're gonna get this hardware, and they just want to keep the fans that are currently already very shaky about the platform and the hardware. They don't want them to jump ship quite yet. They want them to be like, "Oh, hold on, we still have hardware coming. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't dip out yet. Not everything's going to the cloud like Dan Whitehill predicted last week. That's not happening. We have Project Helix, but I don't know. I'm like very on the fence on this. When I read this, I was just like, this does not seem real. Or it doesn't seem like, in my opinion, at this point where Xbox is, and after all of the flack that they caught, I don't know. I just don't see how they can pull this one off, especially
No,
with hardware pricing. Trying to go PC route is really not a great move right now, unfortunately. It could have been awesome. Like, I love the idea of being able to install Steam or GOG or any of those, it was touting that it could, install all those launchers. I think that's really cool, and that seems to be the future, but I don't know, there's a lot of variables. The OS is still pretty unproven as well. That's the bigger factor. I think I mentioned that, where we haven't heard a peep about the OS that's on the Xbox ROG Ally. So I don't know how well that's really doing. I'm assuming it's going to be some spin-off of that. I don't know. Tell
yeah,
me, am I
no,
crazy? Because I think I'm
no.
acting a little crazy.
Actually, you're not. And I wish I could say that you were, but the term vaporware exists for a reason. We have a history in the video game industry of companies coming out and announcing such and such console, and then it never appears. And that's what we've always called traditionally vaporware. And this could be vaporware. Who knows? On one hand, this could be awesome for Xbox because it
No.
could be like a renewed commitment to hardware. She could turn things around here. They could get out in front of PlayStation. They could launch before them, which we know was successful for them previously. Then, if they do it right and it supports Xbox games, not PC Xbox games, I'm talking about Xbox games and PC games, well, then they have a leg up on their rivals, Steam Machine, because Steam Machine could only play PC games. And if this thing can do both and is a hybrid system, then they'll win there. Now, the question is the price and the timing, of course, of the Steam Machine. So that's on a positive scenario. That is something that could happen. And if you're an Xbox fanboy, I'm sure you're psyched about it. And if you're a PlayStation fanboy or fangirl, like, you need Xbox in the race because when Sony gets too arrogant, then the prices go up. And we've got a Sony story for you a little bit later. But so,
and let me tell you, if I can be turned around on Marathon, I can be turned around on anything, baby. So if this
yeah,
Xbox comes out, I might jump on board. Like, believe that.
yep. Now, here's the last piece of the puzzle. Say Microsoft is able to pull this off. They've got the machine. It can do all the tricks. It plays all the games. The games, though, are the last piece of the puzzle. What do they do with exclusives? If they are still going multi-platform, I don't know that there's a reason that's going to sell this machine and people are going to buy it. The old adage always is software sells hardware. In fact, their consoles have tanked when they went multi-platform. I I don't mean to be rude, and this has nothing to do with Asha. I just think she's new, and I don't know if she has the guts to stand up and say, "Hey, let's turn away this money and now let's invest in our own ecosystem." I doubt anyone new. It has nothing against. I don't even know her, but I doubt any new CEO has the guts to say, let's get rid of exclusives. I don't like that would take some balls for them to do that. And they're so greedy. I don't see it happening. So I do see this system struggling just like, the one before.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And that's the thing. I mean, man, it's crazy to be jumping in the CEO seat and then announcing a new console 1 week later.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
that's why it just gets it's great, I guess, but it's also a little sus. Like it's hard not to think kind of strange thoughts when that kind of stuff happens, especially when
100%.
you said she's like potentially fake Xbox account alert. Like, I don't know. Like she's like,
Yeah, no, I mean, she didn't do the work. She didn't build the machine. She's not a real gamer. She's been in the job for 1 week. Should we really trust her? Hell no. But do we have any other options? Also, hell no.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now that you put it that way, like, yes, that's true. Like, what do we got? We better just hold on to the arm that saves us from drowning, no matter what it is at this point.
For sure. So my last thought then on this is the timing, and with AMD saying 2027, does that mean we get a Project Helix reveal at the Game Awards in the final slot at the end of this year instead of like Highguard 2 or something?
I mean, I would hope. Like, if Jeff had brains, he needs to figure that one out. It better be also the Xbox 720. We deserve that.
Right. That would be pretty sweet.
Oh, it better be the 720. Like, we're done with the series. That's too damn confusing. If you just do 720, all your problems are fixed. And damn, if they really I think they could actually pull that off if they announce it there, and that would get me so hyped up if we saw a new console like at
it would
Game
for
Awards.
me too. And I know that I'm like after Switch, I'm not going to buy any new consoles. But then if this one can do new tricks, with the whole PC thing, I'm like, I don't know.
And if it's not cost like
prohibitive
$2,000,
yeah,
if it's like $2,000, then we're gonna have a hard time selling that for me.
I know. So I'm quietly rooting them on, but fearing that they're just gonna fuck everything up. To be honest,
yeah, because if it's probably gonna be pretty expensive. That's my biggest.
I agree.
It's gonna be pricey.
Yeah. And you don't want to launch without software like the Switch did, even though it worked out fine for them. Although their sales have cratered recently. But, the strategy of the software is the biggest sticking point. And speaking of software strategy, I know you had a story for us.
I did indeed. So Sony is reportedly retreating from PlayStation's PC platform push. This is from GameSpot's Darren Bonthews. Sony is reportedly stopping its plans to release PS5 games on PC, ending an experiment that started a few years ago. The company will still consider multi-platform releases for online games like Marathon, Marvel, Fighting Souls, and Horizon Hunters Gathering, while single player games like Death Stranding 2 on the Beach and the upcoming Kena Scars of Cosmora are still coming to PC. However, apart from these titles, no other PS5 single-player games are reportedly planned for a PC release. According to Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier, last year's plans for a Ghost of Yotei PC port were recently scrapped, and the upcoming action game Soros will also remain exclusive to PS5. Sources intimate with Sony's strategy did mention that plans could change in the future. Schreier added that several recent PlayStation games have not sold well on PC, partly due to Sony having an inconsistent release schedule for its games, and the company is looking to pivot back towards console exclusives. Schreier noted that Sony hasn't been launching its AAA titles day and date with PC, and as a result of the unpredictable cadence, it won't suffer many consequences if it pulls back on its PC releases. So, Dan, is this proof that the feature heavy PC launches of their games were impeding on their console sales, like you so rightly predicted? Because I believe I remember you saying how Death Stranding 2 was full of features that the PS5 didn't have. And sure enough, a week later, they're like, actually, we're done releasing on PC. And I know they said it was because the games didn't sell well, but I think it could also, the games might not have been selling well on PlayStation as well. Like it's a whole thing. I think you were kind of hitting the nail on the head with that one. What do you think about this?
It definitely is interesting. I think it's smart, but they have to do this. So yes, there's that one, argument that we were making that the superior version of the game is showing up on PC, and isn't that strange? So there is that. But let's look at the ecosystem, what's really happening here. They know the next gen, the PC suddenly moving with Xbox and with Steam Machine into the living room. Therefore, they would be going multi-platform whether they meant to or not, and they don't want to adopt Xbox's losing multi-platform strategy because they know it tanked Xbox sales. And just by putting it on PC, they would be therefore putting it on Xbox. And they don't want to go multi-platform strategy because they're actually smart and they want to protect their console and their interest.
Ooh.
And this is the best thing that they could be doing for their business because they are setting themselves up for a win on the next generation of consoles, because the only place you'll be able to play their games is on their system and you won't be able to play it on Xbox.
Oh, that's such a good take. They know that Xbox is going, they're going to allow you to download Steam. PlayStation games are going to be on Steam, and they don't want you to get them there. What an interesting take. That is like, and that is probably why they were messing around with it. And they're like, okay, oh, guess what? Well, Asia just announced Project Helix, and it turns out they're going to download Steam. So you know what? Slash any more PlayStation releases, and
Yep.
we're here now. But I agree. I think it is smart of PlayStation. They want the exclusives. That's what we need to push these consoles. And that is like, I don't know. We just need that exclusivity. And hopefully, I think all platforms right now really could, benefit from just like make exclusives and grow that ecosystem, please.
I agree.
And that's
Can you
what Sony's
call
doing.
Nintendo and
Yeah.
get them to start making some games for the Switch 2? Because they're still making them for Switch 1.
Exactly. And that's going to be happening forever. They don't have
I
any
know.
plans to change that strategy up. Man, we're in it deep with Switch 2. So
I know.
interesting
Those
chant.
dicks. If I didn't
I
just
know.
love their games so much, it would be so much easier. But I actually do like their stupid games and I want to play
I
them,
know.
but I cannot because they're all crappy on Switch 1. Anyway, okay, let's continue on to the next story, which is also interesting. Let's talk about, well, Lord, I hate to tell you, but let's talk about actual physical game sales.
Oh,
Or the lack thereof. Okay.
yes.
Okay, a couple numbers. I have to poke the bear. I have to throw these at you, and I want to get your reaction, of course.
All
But
right.
first off, US physical game sales hit a 30-year low, but spending could still break records, meaning, sorry, physical games. New data in Circana is pretty stark. US spending on physical game sales in 2025 fell to about 1.5 billion, which Circana analyst Matt Piscatella called the lowest all-time tracked level since 1995. The weird part is it's not as quite as catastrophic as it sounds because the rate of decline slowed. So physical game spending was down 11% year over year, which is better than the 28% drop in 2024. So we talk about console, like Xbox consoles shit in the bed and dropping like rocks, but the physical game sales are just following right after. This is crazy. Piscatella's take was basically Yeah, it's slowing, but mostly because we're getting close to the bottom. So sorry there, Lord.
They're just getting close to the bottom of the barrel, scraping.
Yep, exactly. At the same time, the overall US gaming market is still huge. Circana says total spending on hardware, content, and accessories hit 60.7 billion in 2025, and they're forecasting 2026 could reach an all-time high around 62.8 billion, driven by things like the second year of Switch 2, continued subscription growth, and massive anticipation for GTA 6. So what's happening is less the games industry is shrinking, and more, it's just physical is shrinking. The money's moving to digital storefronts, subscriptions like Game Pass and PlayStation Plus, and increasingly cloud enabled play. Boo. So, Lord, what's your take on this? Are physical games headed for like the vinyl style collector's comeback? Or are we watching the format fade into history?
I think we're seeing them fade into history, but first I would like to say, is Circana in Big Digital's pocket? Because, like, of course, like, these big ass companies want digital to be the norm. It's gonna
Yeah.
save them money. You you're gonna license their game. Steam has even come out and said you don't own this freaking game that you're buying, which is that to me is blasphemous. And one other thing that we had, we posted a short talking about me trying to find the Resident Evil game last week, and it got a
Yeah.
lot of traction. And there is so many misconceptions about physical games these days. It is mind blowing. Like, people are convinced that these physical discs are just licenses to the game. They don't have the game on them, and you have to have the internet to unlock it, and then you download the game, which is, dude, Big Digital is out there spreading misinformation because, one, the full game is on these freaking discs. It is the base game. The game copies off the disc to your SSD because the disc runs slower than the SSD, and then your game plays off the SSD. That is that makes perfect sense. But, like, and you will play the base game. No, you will not have day one patches if you don't have online, but you have the game. Hello, if the license, like Concord style, they pull the license, you don't have the game anymore to access. You are done. And Dan, you have a copy of Concord physical. You could go in, you could boot that right up, you can install it. You might not be able to do much, but you have the game. And that's to say more than, if you were to download something and the license disappears. I don't know. It makes me very nervous because I feel like people are rooting for digital at this point. Like, they don't understand the ramifications of the loss of physical. And, like, the loss of physical in this sense is different than other stuff. Like, when this goes away, I think it will be like gone. Like, it won't be like vinyl. It won't be like anything. It'll just be like, you will not have physical games anymore. And if you do find them, they're going to be secondhand and older, and they're going to be expensive. It's like, it's crazy. I think it's going to be very apocalyptic out there on the physical front. Like, it's not looking good, boys. Buckle up.
I knew this would trigger you. I'm so sorry, friend.
No, it's okay.
But I think you're 100% right. I do think it will become like a collector's edition vinyl situation,
Yeah.
because I think that limited run games
Maybe.
continues to exist for a reason, and they print small, limited runs of games where they might have not even gotten a physical release, but this company does it. So I see games continually being released in the future, even as a novelty. But you are completely right that the norm is going to be digital. Look, PC already went digital years and years and years
Yes.
ago. And then the comments we saw on our video last week were brutal.
They
And
were.
these little kids are fighting for digital. And I'm not sure
I know.
why. But at the same time, I think it's inevitable. I think the numbers prove it's inevitable. And so I don't know that there's anything we can do,
No.
brother.
I know. I don't think there's anything we can do. I think the time has already passed, but I think
Yeah.
it's still good to spread awareness. Like, I truly believe there has been like a anti-physical campaign at some point. I'm not sure when it happened, but there is this like total, and I think I was part of it too. Like, I didn't understand until I like dug in and did the research. I'm like, oh no, like, physical games are awesome, and and it's clear now that after like the whole licensing debacle that seems to be continuing to happen, it's like, man, we should be rallying so hard for physical, but it's the hammer's already dropped, and
Yep.
it's a all digital future, my friends, and it's kind of bleak and sad.
Well, speaking of bleak and sad, we would be remiss if we didn't also talk about Highguard, which shut down this week. And Lord, I know you had something on that.
I know, my friend. So Highguard to permanently shut down on March 12th. And Wildlight, the developer, they're going to do one more update for the game. And they did a whole tweet saying, like, we didn't get the games. And one of the main dudes behind Highguard also like went online, and he was saying, yeah, the Highguard boss admits it released without content because they were out of time and money. And boy, March 12th, Dan, did we expect it to be shut down so soon despite its rocky reception?
You did. I sure as hell didn't. I think that seeing it at the Game Awards, I just expected it to be higher, and I don't think it was the lack of content there. I think the game itself didn't click for players, and
I agree.
unfortunately, this is what happens when you launch live service. Look, it's a gamble. Everyone wants to make that live service money, but this is exactly what happens when your game isn't quite there.
I agree. And that is the difference of Marathon in this game. You can tell the polish was in Marathon. And yes, you have to pay. It's not even a free game. But I was like, hey, I'm compelled to buy this thing because it looks like they actually put the time and the effort into this, which they admitted they didn't have with Highguard, because you could tell, you'd watch it, you're like, this is janky. Like, they obviously didn't make this, flesh it out. And that's the problem. Like, you gotta, if you're gonna make a live service, you're right, it has to be totally buttoned up. It cannot have any gaps. So rip Highguard.
Yep. And rip to this podcast, because that's pretty much all the video game stories we've got this week. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. On behalf of my buddy Matt Lord, myself, Dan Whitehill, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And as always, good playing with you.
Good playing with you.